Welcome home, Bitcoin truth seekers. It is Monday, January 18th, 11:58 a.m. here in the Arizona desert. Go to Bitcoin Daily View for all the cool stuff. Goldman Sachs investigates crypto custody. Well, it's a big ass bank. I think the biggest in the world, Goldman Sachs. Well, I'll tell you what. I do not believe that this is an unplanned event that this info was leaked. I believe that is who the source was. Somebody said, I don't want you to tell them who I am, but I'll tell you this is happening. I think it was probably a planned leak. Now, with that said, this is all for entertainment purposes only. I'm not a financial consultant or a life coach, even though I'm a pretty dapper fellow. With that said, I have a feeling, for entertainment purposes only, that Goldman Sachs probably planned this leak, and they've probably been OTC buying the living crap out of Bitcoin for quite a while. OTC buys, by my definition, are when somebody big like a Goldman Sachs or a Grayscale or a MicroStrategy says, I want to buy 100 million in Bitcoin, here's the USD. And then a larger exchange like Coinbase will use algorithms to buy Bitcoin and not affect the price one way or the other. So I have a feeling that friends and family, and I don't want to make these kind of accusations. It's a huge bank. I'll not say friends and family and insider trading. No. Goldman Sachs would never do that, nor would any other bank. I'm just saying that this announcement, I don't think just happened. I think it was probably, for entertainment purposes only, planned perfectly. And most likely Goldman Sachs as a company, and maybe some of their people, have been buying the living, holy goodness crap, cracking friggin' hella crazy amounts of Bitcoin. With that said, Bitcoin, this is basically the crypto market against USD. As you can see, it's a mix of green and red. We do have some players like Zill, Wi-Fi, and who else? And Neo. We have some players that are both green on the Bitcoin market and on the USDT market. This is the USDT or USD market, as they might call it. This is the Bitcoin market. We do have some players like Neo and Zill and Wi-Fi that are green on both sides. And you know what's funny? I think for all the crap that the empire has given XRP, and believe me, it is the banker's coin, okay? But look, the SEC said we don't like it. It's a bad boy. Mirror, it's green to against USDT. I mean, 27.279. That's basically that's 28 cents. It's up 1.39%, and it's up against Bitcoin too. So. Take that, SEC. You don't necessarily control the universe. Not that XRP is a benevolent coin. Save your bullshit comments, please. I don't want to hear it. I know XRP is evil, okay? If you are a Bitcoin extremist. I am too, so don't worry about it. 5 billion in volume last 24 hours for Bitcoin. 2.8 billion of that is on Binance. No one else showed up for work. So there you go. No one else was over a billion. Longs versus shorts sentiment were on Binance, where that beautiful volume is. 36% long, 63% short. So sentiment is definitely short. All right, looking at the 3-day candle here for Bitcoin, looking kind of big picture. You can see this MACD is beginning to close towards the negative on the 3-day candle, and we don't quite have the rocket ship to Pluto that we once did. On the 3-day candle, we are beginning to consolidate and get some sideways action. Looking at the daily candle also, boom, we definitely have gone from rocket ship to Pluto land to sideways land. And do note this, I think it's important. You had a high, now you had a lower high. What's probably coming next? A lower high. All right, MACD sucks ass. On the hourly also, it's negative and trending more negative. On the 4-hour chart, you can see... Oops, there you go. On the 4-hour chart, you can see that the MACD is indecisive, but it's under the mid-range, so probably I'll always call that negative. On the 2-hour chart, it is positive but trending towards negative. On the hourly chart, it is negative. On my favorite, the 45-minute chart, it is negative. On the 30, it is negative. On the 15, it is negative. Well, but trending towards positive. So, with that said, pressure right now is definitely pushing Bitcoin towards the downside. All right, now the 2-hour chart has been beautiful. I made a Fibonacci retracement starting when we crossed the 200 moving average back in the day, like December 12th. This was a beautiful, powerful pump above the 200 moving average to our all-time high, and now you can see this 2-hour fib has really been just glorious. It is just fitting things quite perfectly. Right now we are working on that 200 moving average, this white moving average. We're just hammering on it, trying to stay above. Right now we are battling. We're kind of right here with the 236 fib line, which just comes in at 36,564, and right now we're coming in at 35,799. So which is really right, once again, right on that 200 moving average. So it's all about, are we going to break below the 200 moving average and go visit the 382 fib line again, which comes in at 33,000, or go below that and all the way down to the dot 5, which is 30,000. If you go below that, the spot where you'd really want to bounce, or we're jacked, we're definitely starting a downward trend, would be 27,500 at the dot 618. That nightmare that many traders try to, buy bounces on. So we shall see how this goes. If we can get above 36,500, like about 30, let's just say 36,800, 3700. If we can get above this fib line, the 236, and get well above, get some breathing room above this 200 moving average and start to trend away from it, above it. And I think we're definitely looking at another visit to the all-time high around 42,000. But with that said, I mean, the longer time frames are not really supporting it right now, so it looks like we're doing some dumpy sideways action. And I wanted to mention this. Let's do a fib retracement. I kind of noticed something earlier. If we go from the dot 5 fib right here up to the all-time high, you can see this kind of overlays pretty well, and you could see that from here, where we're at right now, you call it the dot 618 fib line, really. So that kind of makes sense. I mean, fibs are always a matter, a little bit of opinion. Some people would say you should draw it from the top down, from here to here, but I'd rather not. I'm going to do it from here to here, from here to the all-time high, just because it just matches. I mean, play with fibs. Don't let anybody tell you there's only one way to do it. But here it looks like we are kind of finding support above the 618 fib line, which comes right in around 34,839. So that is kind of a fun little thing to note. I'm going to nix that. No, I didn't want to nix that. Let's also do, just because I know that I should, so I will. Let's do a fib like this. This is going to make some people happy. They would say go from this high to your low and see what you get. And if we do that, that just becomes the 382. So there you go. I think definitely where we're at right now, if I look at this and I draw a little line, a little bit of sorry for the delay, there we go on this. Really, we are looking at it's really about staying above that 3,500 level, and we're probably good to go. All right, everybody, let us keep moving. BTC USDT, BTC versus USDT on the 45-minute chart. As you can see, I mean, some serious sideways action right again. Once again, you kind of find this $3,500 level, which seems to be like the mean that we are playing with. It's all about, can we stay above that? I certainly would like to. Here in the 45-minute chart, if I did do that reverse, top down fib line, you could see that, once again, we're hanging out at the 382. If I go from the, as I was doing earlier, from the dot 5 to the all-time high, that just becomes the 618, which makes a little bit more sense if you ask me. All right, either way, it works. So Bitcoin flaccidly sideways, but looking at the immediate short time frames, you look on the 45-minute chart, you can see that, well, RSI definitely has room to cruise back up. Looking at these indicators, yeah, it's got room to move up. It is nice. The RSI has been somewhat exhausted. It's back in the buy zone. Directional index is weak. ADX is in the wrong spot. KRI sucks. But your wave trend oscillator by Lazy Bear could move up. So we're in a spot where we definitely could move back up. Let's go to 2 hours. Once again, sideways, hanging out around that $3,500, well, $35,000, $36,000 level. That seems to be our sideways action on the 2-hour chart. Of course, once again, we're staying above the 2 moving average. That is really, really good. RSI's got room to turn up. KRI is okay. Wave trend oscillator's on the up, and the ADXDI is just garbage. So it's not much to report there, which is really positive. On the on the 4-hour chart, these little bars. It's kind of cool they stuck around. All right, with that said, once again, we are kind of sideways, hanging out at a mean of around 35,000, 36,000. ADX is not too positive, but not too awful. RSI is in a spot where it can go up. KRI is in the green. That's nice. Wave to an oscillator by Lazy Bear is where we definitely could see some movement, but usually you start to get uptrends when the Lazy Bear oscillator actually gets below the buy line. Basically, the idea with wave to an oscillator by Lazy Bear is usually when you get below the green dotted line there, and then as you go back up, I probably shouldn't go into a tutorial on this thing right now, but basically it's kind of like the MACD. When your green line here would be the MACD, the dotted red line is the signal. So when your green is above your red line, you are good to go. And this just basically is a histogram showing you how they're widening and in which direction. So here you can see they're beginning to widen positive, and this histogram does reflect that. And of course, you're ultimately, once you get above the dotted red line, that's when you're starting to get into sell territory. And then of course, once your signal, if this was a MACD, gets below, your MACD, it gets below the signal, it would usually be a time to start getting out. Anyway, and it's the same when if you do get below the, if you get below the green dotted line, that's green, that's buy. Once the wave to an oscillator line gets above the signal line, which is right about here, that would be a time to buy. To hop back in. Anyway, it's a cool oscillator. I do have it linked to over at Bitcoin Daily View. I find it to be rather damn cool, and Lazy Bear, the guy who created it, has created a phenomenal amount of Pine for TradingView, and it's worth taking a look at all the stuff that he offers. He has some amazing stuff. All right, dot. Everyone likes polka dot. So versus USDT on top versus BTC on the bottom. As we can see, it's just doing what BTC is doing. It is sideways, not a particularly powerful chart to be buying into right now, other than it is above the 200 moving average. ADA, Cardano, been a big winner recently, beginning to lose its velocity. As a matter of fact, you don't have to be too creative here, and you can actually see most likely, some downwards action starting in a channel there. So that's versus USDT versus Bitcoin on the bottom. Neither chart is particularly powerful, one that I want to get into right now. Above the 200 moving average definitely could start moving up again. If Bitcoin dominance fails, lowers it probably will. ETC, Ethereum versus USDT on top versus BTC on the bottom. Made a beautiful pump over the weekend against Bitcoin. That was wonderful, and found a plateau against the dollar. It's just been kind of sideways. They both did the same kind of movement, but against BTC, that's a beautiful uptrend that it had, and so far it's been keeping it. So it's nice to see. I think Ethereum is really a great notification to me of how the alt market's doing in general, ETC versus BTC. And well, even though we're kind of sideways, we are making gains in USDT, and we are making some slow gains in against BTC. So against USDT gains, BTC gains. And like I say, if you were doing copper or corn futures, you would just be elated at this chart. But of course, this is crypto, and it's not it's not psycho pumping enough. All right, Uni. Everyone loves it versus USDT on top, beginning to turn red, versus Bitcoin on the bottom, basically sideways. So we got sideways on both of them with a slight uptrend recently, like a continuing uptrend. I mean, on a nice note, we do have here for Uni, you can kind of say like lower high, I'm sorry, high and then higher high. And here you could kind of say high, and you could say higher high. So it's working its way up. Like I say, if you were, this was corn futures, you'd be like losing your mind. You'd be like, yeah, Link. All right, Link versus USDT, Link versus BTC. Well, let's just face the truth. It is, here we go. Sorry about that. We're starting to get a little bit of a downtrend there. You can kind of see it versus USDT up top and versus BTC at the bottom. Certainly some of that upwards momentum. Let's look at its chart. Its oscillators definitely could begin to move up, but it's just going sideways right now. It's kind of doing what Bitcoin is doing. Algorand versus USDT up top versus BTC on the bottom. Once again here, we're seeing a bit of what I'm seeing. If it was me, I would say that I'm seeing a bit of a maybe not so much here, or actually even more so here. Yeah, you might be seeing a bit of a downward channel. So anyway, just be careful. I'm not really seeing these guys as super positive. Their charts are not really they're bad. They're oscillators, but they're just kind of doing what Bitcoin's doing. So what I'm watching a lot of these alts for is as we get a Bitcoin volume, drops. I'm really watching these guys here to start start setting some alerts so I can catch these. Where if they do start really pumping, we can hop in. But right now, they know what Bitcoin's doing. They're sideways. Now, look at this though. Outlier, Wi-Fi, YFI against Tether up top against Bitcoin at the bottom. If we look at this, this is rather glorious. So, let me expand these out a little bit. There we go. Look at that. So we've got, here we had kind of, sorry about that. Here we go. Had kind of a high, higher high, then we had a higher low. And maybe we're going to do a higher lower again, but look at that. We are seeing some momentum. High, lower high. But we'll see. That's a rather impressive, sorry about that. That's about a little bit of an impressive reversal here. Maybe. We shall see. It's all about the indicators, really. Something I like seeing here is the ADX and DI. The directional index on both these versus USDT and BTC is turning green, even more so on the Bitcoin trading pair. ADX is still kind of low, but it is 19, around 19. So once it gets around, of course, against USDT, it's like 13. But anyway, RSI on both these is in the right spot. KRI is getting towards that mid-range of turning green. Say, hey, YFI might be a play against BTC or Tether today. Look at it. It's actually starting to move right now while we're talking. Let's fire up like a 15-minute chart for fun here and just see how that looks against BTC. Yeah, look at that. We're seeing some upwards movement against USDT. Yeah, we're definitely seeing that upwards movement. So, a lot of alts are just doing the sideways thing, and so is YFI. Really, it has been. But look at that little burst of energy. Let's see if it keeps doing that. The indicators say that it might possibly pull that off. Anyway, this has been the Bitcoin Daily View. I hope that was fun, and we'll rock through this again tomorrow. Take care.